Hello, Dibs. It's Bennett, your fantasy football commissioner, with the postseason edition of the Fantasy Football Weekly Recap Show. Here we are going to recap how the regular season ended, how week one of the playoffs went, and how we're looking going into the Super Bowl, which will be coming up starting actually tomorrow, Wednesday, Christmas Day. So, before I get to that, just a quick Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to everyone. Personally, being Jewish, I still manage to have a Merry Christmas every year, going to a couple Christmas Eve parties tonight and then hanging out with the family tomorrow. So, still an exciting time for me. Additionally, this year, Hanukkah starts tonight. So, it's going to be a lot of fun and definitely getting some rest and relaxation. And I'll probably watch some football tomorrow. So hope everyone's doing well out there. And of course, happy and healthy New Year as well. So let's get into the recap because it's been a few weeks and we have a lot to cover. First, we are going to look at how we got to the playoffs. So coming into week 15, we had 3 out of the 4 playoff spots set with a matchup between the Mahomes and Judgment Day for the last playoff spot. And so this was pretty cool because it literally was in the schedule for these teams to play each other, and the winner got to be in the playoffs, and the loser went home. And unfortunately for the Mahomes, they went home. They just did not get a good day overall. Tua, since he came back, has been very spotty. As you can see, he only had 40 points. Jonathan Taylor with 9.5, including the infamous dropped touchdown where he literally dropped the football going into the end zone. So he loses points there, and just single digits all around other than Nico Collins. So didn't even crack 100. Mahomes lose. Meanwhile, Judgment Day had a great day. Jaden Daniels, and you'll see Jaden Daniels continues to stay hot. And you've got your Chase Brown from Cincinnati. You've got your A.J. Brown from Philly, and just a nice smattering of points throughout the rest of the lineup to get to 143 points. So Judgment Day wins on the final day of the regular season to get the last playoff spot. And if you look at the league standings, how it ended up, you can see that the Derry Demons won their division, and Two Cups and One Love won their division. They had the best record in the league at 10-5, followed by Gritty Dancer and Judgment Day at 9-6. And if you look at the total points for the year, the top 4 scoring teams in total points throughout the year are the teams that made the playoffs. So while the order of the standings don't quite line up with the total points, Two Cups and One Love did not have the most points, but they get the 10 wins. But over the course of a 15-week season, it did appear to even out with the points for. As for the points against, one quick note that the Killer Bees, who were 0-9 and then ended up going 4-2 the rest of the way to climb out of the cellar, to be tied with the Only Idiots Pay for College. But if you look at points, points for on the lower end, the Killer Bees ended up with the 4th from the bottom points, so they kind of came back to salvage a respectable season at 1,647 points. But by that time, it was way too little too late, and still tied for the worst record. And the lowest point total of the year by far was Only Idiots Pay for College. So maybe Jeff needs to stick to college planning and stay away from NFL betting. That would be my recommendation. So that's the final standings as we went into the playoffs, which was week 16 of the NFL season, which was last week. And if you look, this, as so often happens, the hot team that won on the last day of the regular season to get into the playoffs, they beat the 10-5, Two Cups and One Love. So they stay hot. The wild card gets in. As I mentioned, we've got Jaden Daniels with 5 touchdowns, 39 points, and just consistency all around. Kyron Williams has been consistent all year. If you look at his game log, you'll notice it's just consistent all year. A couple mediocre games in the middle there, but double digits almost every week. So Kyron Williams has kind of quietly had an amazing year. Chase Brown had a little bit of an off day with 11 points. And a wide receiver in here, Jalen McMillan, who I've honestly never heard of, was put in over DK Metcalf and put in, over DK, and it ended up with more points. So very nice move there, because Jalen McMillan previously, well, actually, he had 2 good weeks prior to that. And so pretty big move to bench DK Metcalf, who, if you look, has had some big weeks earlier in the year, but just really inconsistent down the stretch. So that was a smart move there. And that gets Judgment Day to 151 points. Meanwhile, Two Cups and One Love just fizzled at the wrong time. In spite of Jaden Daniels' 5 touchdowns, I don't think McLaurin had a single one. Cooper Kupp, as you can see, only had 3 points. Hawkinson, so just nothing awesome going around there other than Jahmyr Gibbs for the Lions. So Two Cups and One Love just got cold at the wrong time. But Judgment Day with 151 points, they definitely deserve to get the win, and they move on to the Super Bowl. In the other playoff game, Gritty Dancer, who did have the most points in the league for the season, gets a really, really amazing 179 points to beat the Demons by close to 50 points, if not more, just doing the math on the fly. And you could just see, just really good offensive stats all the way down. You've got Baker Mayfield, who's been great fantasy perspective. Henry's been great all year as well. James Cook has recently been amazing. If you look at his last few games, look at James Cook. He's had, 3 out of the last 4 games have been 20 plus points. So he's just had a really good season. Bucky Irvin, one of the offensive rookie of the year candidates. Same with Brian Thomas Jr., who I believe is also a rookie. And then Justin Jefferson just doing Justin Jefferson things to get to 32 points, and didn't even need much out of Cortland Sutton, who's been great all year, only 7.5 points. But along with the tight end Kittle and all the offensive players I just mentioned, that was enough to get the win in spite of only 12 points from Josh Allen. That's definitely off. If you look at Josh Allen's, probably the MVP. I mean, look at probably his worst fantasy week of the year since week 4. So, I mean, especially coming off 43 points the week before against Detroit, 56 points the week before that against LA, 28, 24, and so on. And the big clunker of 12 points last week, even though they got the win in real life. Saquon Barkley did do well, even with Jalen Hurts hurt. And Jerome Ford had a lot of points in the comeback against, or the attempted comeback, Cleveland against Cincinnati. But just not enough from DJ Moore, Quentin Johnson, and Jalen Reed, all with single digits. So not a bad point total with 132 points, but not nearly enough to get Gritty Dancer, to beat Gritty Dancer, who also moves on to the Super Bowl to face Judgment Day. All right, so that's how we got here, and let's check out the preview of this week's Super Bowl between Judgment Day and Gritty Dancer, and we're going to see what the projections say. Now, definitely do not like to listen to projections. It's like when you're watching Major League Baseball on ESPN and it's like top of the first with 2 outs and they've already got like a 65% percentage. It's pretty much bogus. Anytime a percentage can swing on one individual play, that's not a real statistic that you can count on. So, but we will look and see that the projected total is 137.7 to 128.5. So that's pretty damn even. I don't know what the percentage is, but that's pretty even. Of course, Judgment Day is going to continue to ride Jaden Daniels, who I know as a Falcons fan know that the Falcons secondary is terrible. So I would be surprised if Jaden Daniels does not go off. Definitely has the advantage over Baker Mayfield, but Baker Mayfield's playing Carolina. I don't think that's as much of a difference as it looks. Same here, Kyron Williams over Derrick Henry. That's pretty much a push. I mean, I just doing my own analysis on the fly, I think these are all really close, if not pushes. And then as you go down here, can't really do any analysis on the fly, but it looks like the advantages are right there. So it's a 9-point spread, even though Gritty Dancer has fewer players with the advantage. They're still favored to win. Of course, the bench players, you've got Metcalf, who I mentioned previously, and Charbonnet, who was great for a couple weeks with Seattle, depending on the status of the number one running back. So Judgment Day and Gritty Dancer do have the ability to make changes, although we do have Mahomes playing on Wednesday, Baltimore playing on Wednesday, and I believe Pittsburgh as well. So you've got a lot of Wednesday games. So at least on the Gritty Dancer side. So they are going to have to make their decisions. I think I might have made a mistake earlier when I said Gritty Dancer was favorite. Okay. I apologize. I got confused. Plus 9 points means that you're not favored. That means you're getting 9 points. So I apologize for I misspoke a minute ago. So fewer people with the advantage leads to fewer total points projected. So I misspoke earlier, like I said, but Judgment Day is getting 9 points from Gritty Dancer. So Gritty Dancer does have a little bit of an advantage going into the game. All of that being said, it's probably meaningless because in real life, who knows what's going to happen in the game. So that's what we have. We have two games on. Let's take a look at the real scoreboard because there's so many games I don't even can't even keep track. But let's see. Okay, so let's look at week 17 in real life. We've got 2 games on Wednesday. We've got a game on Thursday. We've got 3 games on Saturday, and then a bunch more on Sunday, and of course ending with Monday night. So looks like every day except Friday for the next 5 or 6 days there is NFL football, and I'm sure Gritty Dancer and Judgment Day will be watching closely, and I will be watching real life football just for fun and keeping an eye on fantasy as well. So that's going to do it for this week's recap. Thank you for watching, and again, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to everyone. I'll be back with a Super Bowl recap next week. Thank you.